It's always something, isn't it? A whisper in the dark, a tremor under your feet, the feeling that the good times, well, they're just about over. Americans, maybe more than most, seem to have an ear pressed to the ground, listening for the hoofbeats of the apocalypse. We've been doing it for a long time. Think about the Millerites back in the 1840s. Thousands of them sold their farms, gave away their belongings. They gathered on hilltops, dressed in white robes, waiting for Jesus to come splitting through the clouds. He didn't show, not then, but the waiting, that feeling of being on the edge of something vast and terrible that stuck around. It's a peculiar kind of itch, this obsession with the end. Then there were the comets. Halley's Comet in 1910 caused a real stir. People bought gas masks. Some folks thought the tale was poisonous, that it would snuff out all life on Earth. Newspapers ran wild with it, of course. Sensational headlines, dire predictions. It's a story as old as time, really. The sky is falling, the end is nigh. But in America, it always seems to have a special flavor, a unique kind of urgency. Maybe it's the wide open spaces, makes you feel small, or maybe it's something baked into the very soul of the country, a kind of nervous energy that always expects the other shoe to drop, and for that shoe to be a big one, maybe even a meteor. Plagues too, we've had our share. The Spanish flu after World War I, polio before the vaccine. Each one felt like it could be the big one that would wipe the slate clean, and with every new disease, every new scare, the old fears resurface. People start talking about judgment, about signs and wonders. They look for patterns. To understand America's love affair with the apocalypse, you gotta go way back to the beginning, back to the Puritans. Those folks weren't exactly a laugh riot, you know. They came to this new world, this hideous and desolate wilderness, as 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 called it, with a pretty heavy load of baggage. And a good chunk of that baggage was the absolute certainty that God's judgment was not just coming, but imminent. They saw signs of it everywhere. In every storm, every failed crop, every sickness. The end wasn't some abstract theological concept, it was a very real possibility. Maybe next Tuesday. They lived under what they believed was God's angry eye. Every sermon, every prayer, was laced with the urgency of impending doom. The devil, they figured, was a busy fellow, especially in this untamed land. He lurked in the dark forests, whispered temptations in the ears of the weak, and plotted the downfall of their city on a hill. After the Puritans set the stage, the curtain never really closed on America's apocalyptic drama. The 19th century in particular was a hotbed for new religious movements, and many of them had the end of the world written into their core programming. Think about the Great Awakenings, those waves of religious revival that swept the nation. Preachers thundered from pulpits, painting vivid pictures of hellfire and damnation, urging sinners to repent before it was too late. The end was always just over the horizon, a fiery sunrise that would consume the wicked and elevate the righteous. It was powerful stuff, especially in a young nation still figuring itself out. Groups like the Shakers, for instance, believed they were living in the last days. Their ecstatic worship, their communal living, their celibacy, it was all tied to the idea that the old world was passing away and a new spiritual age was dawning. Then you had Joseph Smith and the Mormons with their own unique prophecies about the end times and America's special role in them. And later, the Jehovah's Witnesses, meticulously calculating dates for Armageddon, revising them when the world stubbornly refused to end on schedule. Each group offered its own roadmap to salvation, its own interpretation of the signs, but the destination was often the same, a dramatic, world-altering conclusion. The 20th century brought new technologies, but the old fears found new voices. Then came the bomb, the big one, atomic. Suddenly the end of the world wasn't just in God's hands or some distant prophecy, it was in ours, or more accurately, in the hands of a few men with access to red buttons. The Cold War cast a long, cold shadow over America, and that shadow looked a lot like a mushroom cloud. This wasn't a maybe-could-be kind of fear, this was a palpable daily dread. Schools ran duck and cover drills, kids practiced hiding under their flimsy wooden desks, as if that would save them from nuclear fire. It was absurd, terrifying, and deeply, deeply American in its own strange way. The language of the era was all about annihilation, mutually assured destruction, mad. Section 5. Bunkers and Bullets, The Rise of the Survivalist. The Cold War's nuclear anxieties didn't just make people nervous. For some, it sparked a new kind of proactive fear. If the world was going to hell in a handbasket, they figured, they'd better be ready to survive the trip. And so the 1980s saw the rise of the survivalist movement. This wasn't just about having a few extra cans of beans in the pantry. This was a lifestyle. It was about self-reliance pushed to the extreme. It was about distrusting the government's ability or even willingness to protect its citizens when the SHTF that stuff hits the fan, for the uninitiated. These weren't your parents' fallout shelters. Survivalists took it to a whole new level. They built elaborate bunkers, sometimes in remote hidden locations. They stockpiled food, water, medical supplies, and, of course, guns. Lots of guns. Section 6. Millennium Bugs and Falling Towers, New Century, Old Fears. As the 20th century wound down, a new kind of fear began to creep into the collective consciousness. This one wasn't about bombs or divine wrath, not directly anyway. It was about computers. The Y2K bug. Remember that? For a while there, it felt like the digital sky was about to fall. The worry was that older computer systems, the ones running everything from banks to power grids to missile defense systems, wouldn't be able to handle the switch from 99 to 00. Planes would fall from the sky, financial markets would collapse, the lights would go out, maybe for good. It was a uniquely modern kind of apocalypse, a ghost in the machine. The media, as it often does, fanned the flames. Experts debated the potential severity. Some downplayed it. Others predicted chaos. People started stockpiling water and food again. Some bought generators. There was a run on cash, just in case the ATMs all went dark. It was a strange time. The fear was less about a malicious enemy, and more about a systemic failure, a vulnerability we'd built into the very fabric of our increasingly technological world. When midnight struck on December 31st, 1999, and the world mostly kept on ticking, there was a collective sigh of relief. But the Y2K scare was a potent reminder of how fragile our complex systems could be. Then came September 11th, 2001. Section 7. Doom scrolling the apocalypse, TikTok terrors and YouTube prophecies. Fast forward to today, 2025. The old fears haven't gone away, not really, they just have new platforms, new ways to spread. And boy, do they spread fast. Welcome to the age of social media, where doomsday is just a click away. TikTok, YouTube, X, Facebook, these platforms have become echo chambers for every conceivable end-of-the-world scenario. You can find videos on how to prep for a solar flare, a supervolcano eruption, a new pandemic, economic collapse, civil unrest, alien invasion, you name it. If you can imagine it, someone's making content about how to survive it, or how it's definitely, absolutely, positively happening next week. The algorithms, they're smart, they learn what scares you, what keeps you watching, and they feed you more of it. It's called doom scrolling for a reason. Section 8. The American Anomaly. Why here? Why so loud? So why America? Why does this obsession with doomsday seem to burn so brightly here, perhaps more so than in other parts of the world? It's a complicated question, like trying to untangle a knot the size of Texas, but there are a few threads we can pull on. Part of it, I think, goes back to that frontier mentality. This country was built by people who pushed into the unknown, who faced incredible hardships, who had to be self-reliant to survive. That kind of experience breeds a certain toughness, but also a certain expectation of adversity. The idea that you have to be ready for anything because anything can happen is baked deep into the American spirit. Then there's the religious streak. We talked about the Puritans, but that religious fervor never really left. America has always been a place of intense, often diverse religious belief. Section 9. The Contagion of Dread, How American Nightmares Went Global. It used to be that American anxieties about the end of the world were, well, mostly American. Other countries had their own worries, sure, but the specific flavor of doomsday prepping, the Hollywood-style apocalyptic visions, the deep-seated cultural hum of impending doom that felt uniquely stateside. But things change, the world gets smaller, and just like blue jeans and rock and roll, America's obsession with the apocalypse has started to go global. It's a strange kind of export, this contagion of dread, but you can see its fingerprints in a lot of places now. Hollywood has played a huge part, no doubt about it. For decades, American movies and TV shows have been pumping out spectacular visions of the end alien invasions, zombie outbreaks, climate catastrophes, asteroid impacts. These stories are entertaining, sure, but they also normalize apocalyptic thinking. They plant seeds. They make the unimaginable seem, if not probable, then at least cinematically possible. And because American culture has such a massive global reach, these narratives have been consumed by billions of people around the world, shaping their own anxieties and expectations about what a global crisis might look like. The internet, of course, has been the great accelerator. The same TikTok terrors and YouTube prophecies that grip Americans are now instantly available to anyone with a smartphone, anywhere on the planet.